This week we are reading Parashat Chukat, in which one of the most puzzling stories in the entire Torah appears. Let's see it inside. Vayavo'u v'nei Yisrael kol ha'ida midbar tzin b'chodesh harishon. B'nei Yisrael arrived at midbar tzin in the first month. Vayeshev ha'am b'kadesh, and they dwelt in the place called Kadesh. Vatamot sham Miriam, Moshe's sister, passed away there. Vatikaver sham, and she was buried. And immediately it launches into a story. V'lo haya mayim la'ida. They did not have water. Vayikahalu al Moshe v'al Aharon, so they ganged up against Moshe and Aharon. Miriam has just been buried. They are thirsty, and they are yelling at Moshe and Aharon. Vayidabir Hashem al Moshe lemor. I'm skipping. Hashem instructs Moshe, Kach et hamata, take your staff, your stick, v'dibartem el hasela le'enehem v'natan meimav, and you should speak to the stone that I show you, and it will give water. Previously in Parashat B'Shalach, Moshe had hit a stone, and it gave water. Here he is told to speak to the stone in order to get water. Vayakilu Moshe v'Aaron et hakahal al pnei hasala. So they assemble everybody before that stone. Vayomer lahem. But Moshe says to them the following words: Shim'una hamorim, listen, you rebels. Hamin hasela hazen otzi lachem mayim. Shall we bring forth water from this stone for you? Those were very harsh words. And then, Vayarim Moshe et yado, he lifted his hand, Vayach et hasela b'matehu pa'amayim, and he struck the stone with his staff 2 times. Vayetzu mayim rabim, and much water came out, Vatesh ta'ida uvi'iram, and all of the people and all of the animals were able to drink. That seems like success, but it doesn't seem that way when Hashem speaks to Moshe. Vayomer Hashem el Moshe v'el Aharon, Ya'an lo he'emantem bi, because you did not believe in me. Lahakdisheni le'enei b'nei Yisrael, to do the special Kiddush Hashem before the Jewish people. Lachein, therefore, and that implies an oath that Hashem is taking, Lo taviu et hakahal hazeh al ha'aretz asher natati lahem, you shall not bring this congregation to the land that I gave them. So Moshe and Aharon will get to the edge before Israel, but then the land of Israel will be a do not enter zone for them. What was Moshe's sin over here? Many commentaries have suggested different ideas. One commentary even said that he wasn't going to even try because he did not want to find another sin for Moshe. One thing we know is that Moshe was so great that whatever he did wrong was on a sin on his level, on his high level, because he was such a great tzaddik, and Hashem is very strict with tzaddikim, more strict than he would be with ordinary people. Rashi says that the sin was that Moshe hit the rock rather than speaking to the rock. If he had spoken to the rock, people would have said, if a rock that has no mitzvos, does not get reward or punishment, listens when Moshe speaks to it in the name of God, how much more so we should listen to the word of Hashem. The Rambam suggests a different answer. He says that Moshe showed anger when he said Shim'una hamorim, and that made the Jews think that Hashem, I have him represented as a cloud because sometimes he appears in a cloud, so made them think that Hashem was angry at them when Hashem was not necessarily angry at them. Moshe modeled anger and made them think that Hashem was angry. And finally, the Ramban quotes Rabbeinu Hananel, who says that Moshe spoke about it as if he was almost on the same level as Hashem. He used the plural, Notzi lachem, we will bring forth water, as if, hey, I'm like Hashem, me and the big guy, we're buddies. Now, of course, Moshe didn't mean that, but Hashem had trained Moshe to act as God's representative. And now Rabbeinu Hananel says that maybe Moshe took it a little bit too far. and gave the Jews the wrong impression. Now, my little contribution is to ask you to look at some of the words as if you have a very, very powerful magnifying glass for those words, and let them guide you to see how maybe we can find some evidence, some hints, like the answer of Rabbeinu Hananel in the words. First, Moshe said, Shim'una Hamorim. In the story of Hashem telling Aaron and Miriam in Parashat Baha'alotcha that they spoke Lashon Hara about Moshe and he was different and on a higher level, Hashem started by saying, Shim'una Dvarai. Listen now to what I have to say to you. So Moshe was saying this phrase as if he were speaking in the words of God himself. And then Moshe said, Hamin hasela hazeh. Some of you may remember that when Hashem spoke to Adam and Chava after they ate from the Eitz Hadat, he said, Hamin ha'etz asher tziviticha leveltu achol mimenu achalta. Did you eat from that tree? So 2 times. First, Shim'una, and then Hamin ha. Moshe is using words as if he is scolding people the same way God would. And maybe that is what Rabbeinu Hananel is saying. Moshe, that's a little bit stepping over as if you were acting as if you were God. Maybe that's a little bit over the line. Why, possibly, might this have happened to Moshe? Well, you know, we all need somebody who can tell us when we are perhaps going a little bit too far. And when you are Moshe Rabbeinu, who do you have who could tell you that? It is possible that the only person in the world who could do that to Moshe was Miriam, who was responsible for Moshe being alive in the first place. And so when Moshe says, Shim'una Hamorim, whether he realized it or not, he might have been missing Miriam, who had just died, Vatamot Sham Miriam. And therefore, without Miriam, maybe Moshe went a tiny bit too far and ultimately had to pay the price, as great of a tzaddik as he was. May we always have the right people around us to make sure that we don't go too far, and may we be able to be very, very careful to go as far as Hashem wants us to and no further. Shabbat Shalom.